Terry Blackburn here. I have a property portfolio worth over £10 million. I've built and sold multiple companies, some in seven-figure deals. I wrote two successful books, one won awards all over the world. All of these awards behind me are national and international awards for some of my companies. Coach people one-on-one, and I run masterminds. Now, if you like what I talk about in this session, if you listen to my podcast, you follow us on Instagram, you follow the YouTube page, if you like what I talk about, and I resonate with you and you can relate to me, jump on my website, which is terryblackburnproperty.com. All of the different services that I have is on there. I'd love to work with you and I'd love to help you get to where you want to be, whether that's in property, whether that's in business, whether it's in sales, goal setting, whatever it is that you want to achieve and want to learn. I'm your man. Enjoy the rest of the episode and speak soon.
Hi and welcome to the Rags to Riches show with myself, Terry Blackburn. So this episode, I've been asked for this a few times because I've interviewed loads of people on their story, on their journey, on their Rags to Riches story. And you might have seen me at an event, you might have seen me speak on stage somewhere or heard me speak on a different podcast. But on this episode, I'm going to share with you, no holds barred, my story and the lessons I've learned along the way, the good and the bad. So I grew up in Newcastle upon Tyne, if you didn't know that, if you can't tell by the Geordie accent, I'm sure you can. But I grew up in a place called Throckley, in a block of flats, and it was pretty brutal. So, you know, you're talking, I seen my dog when I was a kid get killed by another dog in front of us outside the flat by, a bunch of chavs had this big pit bull. That was pretty brutal. I remember going down the stairwell in the block of flats and there was people taking drugs in the stairwell. It was pretty brutal. We didn't have any money. We really didn't. It was a tough time. But I think that in itself toughened me because at the time you don't know what's going on, right? Because you're a kid. But then when you go to school and start seeing people with better coats than you, better shoes than you, better whatever than you, like you start to think to yourself, even at that age, well, why don't I have these things? That sparked my interest in, right, well, how do these other kids have nice things? Oh, it's because they've got money. Okay, so the parents have got money, so how do I get money then? Yeah, I put my mind on that quite early. And as a kid, all you want is the best, right? You want to have the best things. You want to be the cool kid and all that, right? So yeah, I didn't have no silver spoon. I didn't have no rich parents, nobody gifting us money. I didn't come into any inheritance and I still haven't. I don't think I ever will. And I don't want that. But just to make that clear, regardless of what I've went on to do, up until now, at age 35, I've been gifted nothing. No one's no one's give us any money. I haven't inherited anything. I have no help from, parents or anything. It's all been me. And that's the first lesson. Like, regardless of where you are right now and at what stage, you are and your upbringing and your current financial situation, it doesn't matter because you can go on to achieve more than me or the same as me, regardless where you start. It's all down to your actions, your habits, your choices and behaviours today that determines your future. So went to school, failed everything. I was the kid fighting all the time, taking drugs, selling sweets, selling trainers, selling Pokemon cards and all that carry on. And it was a wild ride at that age. I was just the naughty kid. It was cool to be naughty. It was cool to be a chav. It was cool to DJ and MC and listen to New Monkey and all that stuff. And that's what we did. It was mad, really. I failed absolutely everything. So I failed maths, but I ran one of the largest financial advisory firms in the country. I failed English, but I wrote two books. One best-selling book that won awards in America. So what does that say about the school system, hey? But I failed everything. So again, the lesson there is it doesn't matter how you've done at school. I don't have any A levels. I didn't go to uni. I went to be a joiner straight from school because I was pushed into construction and absolutely hated it. I hated it from the second I got up in the morning and had to get 2 trains to the building site, work all day doing something that I hated and 2 trains home. So I was leaving the house at 5 a.m, getting in at 6 p.m, making 120 quid a week when I was an apprentice. It was brutal. I hated it. And I used to tell people, I don't know why, I just used to tell people I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm not going to do this forever. And all the joiners and other builders used to say, yeah, right, Terry, we all said that. And look at us. And I was like, yeah, but and they used to take the piss. They used to try and make cups of tea. And I used to say, no, go on, you're the apprentice. Go make the cups of coffee. I was like, no, you make the fucking cups of coffee. Why do I have to make the cups of coffee? And I was just a bit rebellious. For sure, in all parts of my life at that age. And when I was 19, I was fortunate enough, looking back, to be made redundant as a joiner. I hated it anyway. And I thought, right, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to get into sales. And I made up a CV and I sent it to loads of places, and I got a job selling life insurance for a company called Combined Insurance Company of America. And within 2 weeks, I specifically remember selling my tools, because I was like, I am never going back to being a builder, ever. And I was making, in my second week, I made a month's wage as a joiner in a week selling life insurance. And I thought, no, I can use my voice and my mind and my personality to make money opposed to my hands. And it was at that point on I thought, right, sales is for me. I love this. So then worked my way up Combined Insurance Company of America. Done really, really well there. Top advisor in the Northeast. I then went to MetLife Europe. I was the youngest ever sales manager for MetLife Europe. MetLife's the largest insurance company in the world. I was the youngest ever sales manager in the European division. I ran the whole Northern UK when I was 21. Had a team of 45 people under us when I was 22. And I just loved it. At that point, I started to buy property. At that point, I was making good money. I was making over 100 grand when I was, 20 odd years old, which was a lot of money back then. And yeah, I just thought at that point, like, I've made it, right? Like, I thought I was the man. I must admit, I was a bit of a knobhead. Being daft as young lads do, with loads of money. Buying this stupid house, I had a daft flat on the quayside, and I was doing loads of stupid stuff, which I'm not going to get into on this podcast. But then, I was 24, and people have asked about the transition from, because I was self-employed working for Combined and for MetLife Europe, the transition for me to set up my own firm when I was 24 was quite easy. It wasn't like I was going into something brand new. I'd already been selling life insurance in volume and been really good at it for 5 odd years. So the transition to set up my own company was quite easy because I'd already been doing it. So I set up my own firm. Year one, we had over 40 staff. It just took off, turning over millions of pounds, making more money than I even knew what to do with at this point. And life was amazing, man. And I was starting to buy properties along the way. And then there becomes a point where in business where for me it did anyway, there becomes a point where you achieve your goals and you start to think, right, what next? So my goal when I set up Bespoke Financial was I want to be the largest life insurance brokerage in the country. We achieved that. I won awards in Barcelona, where else? All over the shop. I've done a video on this with all my trophies. I forgot there's that many. Parma, Berlin, Krakow, Barcelona, Parma, Vienna, loads of places. And winning all these awards, I was really highly thought of in financial services, young guy winning all these awards with a massive company. It was amazing, but there becomes a point where you achieve what you want and you either sit on it and keep improving on it, or you want something else. And for me, it was I wanted something else. So I'd already been buying property along the way with the profits of the businesses and my income, and buying just some buy-to-lets along the way. And I was really enjoying that. But again, I'd bought 10, 15 buy-to-lets, and I was like, I'm getting a bit bored of buy-to-lets now. I want to do something else. It's seen a bit of a theme here. I kind of flick between different things. Started to buy student accommodation, HMOs, Airbnbs. Then I started to get into the bigger stuff. Then I bought the glamping site, the cafe, the 3 hotels, the bar, the restaurant. And I've just acquired a load of these different businesses along the way. And before I go to sort of the next step and where I am sort of now, I think there's some lessons in there. I'm not saying that you should flick between things, because I was lucky enough to have a big team. If I try to do bars, restaurants, hotels, glamping sites, financial advisory firms, life insurance brokers, mortgage brokers, all the things that I was doing, if I tried to do them at the same time early on, they would have failed. I like to do something and get relatively good at it before I go to the next thing. So I'm not saying that you should try and do loads and loads of different things like I do. Like, I only do that now because I've done one thing for a period and got good at it before I went to the next thing. What I think some people do is to dip in and out of loads of different things. What happens is you're not that effective at anything. You end up ineffective in 10 different things. You're far better doing 1 or 2 things really well first before you go to the 3rd thing and the 4th thing. So that's a definite lesson. I wouldn't have been able to make the money that I've made or achieve the things that I've achieved in business or property without a team. So I owe a lot of my success to my team. 100% I do. And I've openly praised them on podcasts before, and I've openly praised them, in award ceremonies and all that, because the success of Bespoke Financial and Mortgage Genie, I haven't even mentioned that business. I forgot that one. I built Mortgage Genie and sold that as well. That was an online mortgage brokerage when I was 26. But both of those companies, the success of those were down to the staff, the team, having good people around you. You can only go so far if it's just you. And what a lot of entrepreneurs do and solopreneurs, they'll get really good at something, make a load of money, and then they don't know when to recruit. They don't want to recruit. They want to do everything themselves. There's only so far you can go. And if you have a holiday or you're ill or something happens, then you don't have a business. You only have a business when you've got people around you. The definition of a proper business is something that runs and grows when you're not there. And most people don't even have that. Most people don't have enough staff or the systems and processes in place to make sure that business still runs and grows. If they go on holiday, the business dips. Yeah. So that's a definite lesson. You cannot grow to any relative scale without staff and good people around you. And if you really struggle with, let's say, admin, which I do, I'm not very good at admin at all, then you recruit an administrator. Like, I'm quite organized, but because I'm running so many companies now and I'm doing so many different things, I need a PA. So I've got a full-time PA who's on a decent wage. I've got a VA who's in the Philippines as well, who does a lot of the outsourced tasks. I've got an ops manager, and each business I'm involved in, I've got either other directors or other senior team members. The hotels have got managers. The bar and restaurants have got managers. The construction company's got a business partner. The estate agent, I've got a business partner. All of the properties managed by my estate agents. You need people around you, good people around you, in order to scale. And what a lot of people also do, there's another lesson here, and I've done this when I was building the businesses. Certainly at the start, I was like, right, I know I need an administrator. I'm going to get one. I'm going to try and pay someone the cheapest I can possibly pay somebody. You get what you pay for. If you pay someone minimum wage for certain roles, you're going to get shit. If you try and scrimp and save and you just want someone who's low paid, you're going to get a low quality person a lot of the time. If you want good people, which is a great way to scale, you want the best people, you've got to pay the best money. And look at staff as an investment, not a cost. Because you should be recruiting people to either give you time back or increase your income with that business. So you recruit somebody to either give a task to so you don't have to do it anymore, or you give them an income generating task which is going to help your business grow. It's only one of those two things. And I think, the better quality person you get in either of those areas is going to help you more, isn't it? They're definite lessons. And I think another point here is diversifying. And diversifying when it's right. There's pros and cons, right? If you go all in on one thing and you never change it, you could really win because you could build a monster. Or if that industry is affected by something like AI, like the economy, like the markets, like new technology, or like a competitor, then you fucked, right? Going all in on something has benefits. Jeff Bezos, it's his only business, right? Amazon. But it has a lot of drawbacks as well. I'm guessing the next Jeff Bezos isn't listening to this podcast because he's a bit of an exception. I believe that you should diversify. And you might have a business, right? And diversify into property. And it could just be those two things, business and property. Because if you go down this industry, this business in this industry, and the industry is impacted by AI or something, where do you go? Property is a great place to put your money to produce more money. And then you diversify. And so if your business folds, you've still got some property. If you just went full-time in property, what happens if something happens to property or the market or regulation kicks in and you've got no other income? You might become unstuck. So I've just always diversified, partly because I like doing different things and partly because I always just thought, maybe it's because I didn't have money growing up. I always thought, like, is this too good to be true? Like, is this going to last forever? Like, I don't know. Did I subconsciously think that? Maybe. So I think that's why I always started to put my money into property, because I thought this life insurance gig is going so well and I'm making so much money. What happens if it stops? So let's just keep putting my money into property. So diversifying is key when the time is right. And I think, well, let's look at it this way. Some things that I maybe wish I did different. I don't normally have regrets, and I don't really have regrets, I must admit. But there is certain things that I wish I knew earlier and I wish I'd done earlier, because I'd be further ahead. I'm very happy with where I am, and I wouldn't change my current position, because I don't think that's the right thing to do. But looking back, if we just focused on success and progress, if I'd done these things, I think I'll be in a better place financially. First one is learn how to raise money. So Mortgage Genie, I raised £500,000 into that business when I was 26. Angel investment in property of well over, it's into 7 figures, well over £1 million I've raised into property investments, joint ventures, fixed rates of return and all of that. But I only started to raise money like in 2019. So I used all of my own money up until 2019, and then I started to raise money. I think you've got to learn how to raise money. And if you're new to property, it's going to be tough. You've got to build your credibility and your track record first, and your reputation and your experience before anyone's going to lend you money or invest with you. But if you know that now, start to build your credibility first, experience, get that up, and then start looking for money, because it will elevate you quicker, it'll elevate you higher and fast track your success in property and business. Other things I wish that I'd done sooner: social media, 1,000,000%. Personal brand. I only started my Instagram page in 2020. It's bloody 4 years, actually, thinking about it. That's flew. But I've made a lot of money from my social media page. And I think if I was doing loads of business stuff well before 2020. I got, my first company was 2014. Like, I would have made a lot more money if I nailed social media earlier. And the early adopters of anything are the people that kill it. Like, my personal brand's doing really well now after 4 years, and I only really stepped it up last July. Last July, we started posting 3 times a day, and we really put time and effort into my page. We were just doing 1 post a day, just ticking along from 2020 until 2023. But I wasn't even doing it before 2020. I wish I had done, because you've seen them online. Some of these people on social media are making millions per month from a personal brand. They really, really are. So if you're not doing enough social media, I'd strongly advise that you just bite the bullet. Just do it. Because if I'd done it prior, and that is probably what, I don't like to say I've got regrets, and I don't like to, because I'm really happy with where I am, but that is probably the strongest regret, if any, that I've got, is I should have done social media earlier. Because there's a great phrase on this that I'll coin as well, which is, it doesn't matter how good you are if nobody knows who you are. So if you're amazing at property and you want to raise some money, but nobody knows how amazing you are at property, how are you going to raise money? You can do it in person, which takes longer, or you can get yourself on social media and showcase how good you are. Yeah. If you're trying to raise money and you're just going to networking events and mixing with some wealthy people, you should do that, by the way. But if that's your only approach, that's like fishing with a fishing rod, right? You can only catch 1 fish at a time. If you're on social media, you're fishing with a net. You can catch loads of fish at the same time with 1 post. 1 post could get you 1 million impressions, 1 million views, 1 million likes. 1 post. You could never get that impact by going to 1 event. So I wish I did social media. And another tip, I suppose we'll finish off my journey, then I'll give you some more tips. So now at this stage, I've sold a big business. We've sold Bespoke, which is a 7-figure deal. We've sold another business. I've got rid of the glamping site. I've sold quite a bit that I had ongoing. I've sold most of my Airbnbs. I've still got the 3 hotels. But now I was at around about 160 staff at the height of it across everything that I was involved in. Now at around about 20. And I make more money now than I used to, with all that hassle and all that stress and all the staff. I make money online now through mentoring and coaching and masterminds, which I really love, and put myself out there even more. So I'm happier, I'm healthier, and I'm wealthier. And I'm not saying that to brag or to flex. It's been done with intention. I've sold off things that don't serve us anymore, sold the big business because it was stressing us out. I've condensed my portfolio and sold off. I think I've sold about 14, 15 properties in the last 18 months because they were either not serving us anymore, they weren't profitable anymore, or just couldn't be bothered, as in Airbnbs, because they cause you loads of hassle. So my life is cleaner. I don't normally start until 10 a.m. I don't normally finish until around about 5 p.m. So I'm not working dead late and I'm not starting dead early anymore. And I'm making more money than I was. I've got more time for the gym, more time for my kids, and more time for my missus and my family. So I'm in a really, really good place. And that is through intention. And yes, I used to work a lot more than I do now. But like, you can absolutely have a load of money and be happy and be healthy and be wealthy all at the same time. Because I've done it and I'm no different to you. I've just told you my story. I grew up in a block of flats with no money. I failed everything at school and I stumbled into sales. So the reason I'm telling you this story is, like, I want you to understand that I'm no different to you. Wherever you are right now, you could easily go on to replicate my success and do even more than me if you really wanted to. I'm not special. I just work my arse off. And a couple of key things here that I contribute to my success, or I put my success down to a few of these points. Team, we've already mentioned, get a good team of people around you. Sales skills, right? I honestly believe I wouldn't be where I am if I wasn't good at sales. Being thrown into life insurance sales at an early age gave me the tough skin. It gave me the communication skills to transfer into all the different businesses I'm involved in, communicating, recruiting people, interviewing people, managing people, training people, pitching an investor, pitching an estate agent, pitching a landlord, pitching. And the pitching is selling, isn't it? You're pitching a concept, an idea, a process, a thought. It's sales. So one way I believe to fast track your own success is learn sales. I do sales courses, as you know, and I train people on sales. Whether you use me or you use somebody else, that's fine, but you need to learn sales. Maybe just go and get a sales job. If you're really young listening to this, go and get a sales job. Do it for 6, 12 months and learn sales. Yeah? Get good at making sales, because it will only help you in any business you get involved in. I think definitely get on social media, good team around you, diversify, learn how to raise money. And also, one thing I would say is, people talk about follow your passions, right? Now, I agree with this and I disagree with this. And hopefully I can give you a different slant on this. When people say follow your passion, if your passion is, I don't know, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but it's something like that doesn't make you any money, like artists, right? Obviously there's some artists that make a load of money, but most artists, to my knowledge, make fucking no money. So if your passion is art and you're not very good at it, like, are you really going to create a good quality life for yourself just by sitting in your basement painting pictures, right? It's probably unlikely. You might be really talented and it might work for you, but a lot of the time, following your passion may not work. So my view on that is, I wasn't passionate about life insurance. I was passionate about making money. That's why I got into sales. I became passionate about property. That's why I'd done a load of it. And then I fell out of love with it a little bit. And now I'm really passionate about mentoring. That's why I'm doing it. But property, business, sales, mentor makes good money, right? If I was passionate about something that didn't make any money, I would maybe do it in my spare time if I had time. But I think this view of like, just follow your passion sometimes isn't right. So if you're new to business, you don't have a business, think about what you enjoy. And if you don't have that thing that makes money, just get yourself in a position where you can make some money. Follow a passion that makes money. And just to summarize, please take us the right way. I'm not saying any of this to brag or to flex. I'm saying this to inspire and motivate. And I'm not trying to impress you, but I'm trying to impress upon you that you can do this too, regardless where you started and where you are now. With the right actions, with the right guidance, with the right mindset, you can absolutely achieve anything that you want. So That's it, my friends. I hope you've enjoyed it. If I've inspired you, or you know somebody who's maybe in a difficult place or having a difficult time, share this podcast with them on Apple Podcasts and Spotify or YouTube. If you're watching the video, you can share this with somebody. Click the button, share it, send it to the WhatsApp, and hopefully I can inspire them just like I've inspired you. So thanks for listening, and don't just take notes, take action.